seeing a lot of really weird copes and seeds about the Nintendo Switch 2 over the past day.
I'm the angry vigilante here to fight the fight, breaking down the walls in the dead of night. No room for player essence or your fake parade. Harmon Smith, your empire's about to fade. Your empire's about to fade.
Harmon. Not everybody's going to accept that the Switch 2 is amazing as you do, so let's get into his video.
You know, people pretending as if they've already returned their consoles, people who are pretending Mario Kart World is a bad game, people who are like spurting out about the launch lineup and the...
Harmon, people were returning their consoles. You literally, in like a little over 24 hours, you could have gone on the GameStop app and they had pre-owned Mario Kart World bundles for sale. Literally, people were returning their consoles.
The loading times and all sorts of weird, like, copes. And I talked about like some of them in the last video, but I suppose today we really need to talk about like Mario Kart World specifically, because I think this specific release is the one that's being like targeted the most.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't covering the other releases, but nobody is specifically attacking Mario Kart World. Unfortunately, Harmon, I understand it's hard for you to understand, but Mario Kart World does not look next gen. It's not worth $80. Anybody that's played it can see that. I don't think a single person I have heard actually say this game is worth $80. I believe you're the only one that does.
Because it's like the big exclusive from Nintendo, and because it's the big like release of the launch period, right? This is going to be a release that kind of...
Harmon, can you please get into your point already? We are literally 2 minutes into this video and you're already driving me crazy.
Demonstrates like what the Switch 2 is going to be like and just what we can expect from it. And so a lot of people are...
Harmon, you should not be saying that. You are not helping Nintendo's cause right now. Because, okay, I understand that there are games that the Switch 2 is playing that they could not play on the Switch. I understand the third-party situation. But most people that bought a Switch bought it for the first-party titles. So I'm going to make an assumption that most people who bought a Switch 2 bought it for the first-party titles. When it comes to Mario Kart World so far, it does not scream next-gen. It does not scream that it's better than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe graphically wise. When you have a next-gen console, a new console, I have a reasonable expectation that the graphics are going to look better. They don't look dramatically better for a new console. Yes, they do look buttery smooth compared to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch, but when it comes to the Switch 2, yes, they look buttery smooth, but they do not look hugely impressive like they're supposed to when it comes to a next-gen system.
Very, very anxious to downplay this game. You know, they're trying to say that like the game isn't well thought out, the game is like...
It's not well thought out.
To casualize, it's like exactly like 8, you know, which in and of itself should prove that none of them have played it.
I wouldn't say it's exactly like 8, but when you look at it graphically wise, for instance, it doesn't look dramatically better. That's why so many people, including me, are saying this is more of a Switch Pro than an actual new console.
You know, Mario Kart World is a really interesting experience because anybody who's actually played a lot of Mario Kart knows just how different World actually is.
Yes, Mario Kart World is different. You are correct. It's a lot of fun, but it's not $80 fun, Harmon.
You know, anybody who's actually played this game knows just how much they've added and how much they contributed and just how much there actually is to do in this game.
Harmon, no one is denying that they didn't add to it, they didn't contribute it to it. Look at the free roam, for instance. Honestly, I don't care for the free roam. I kind of think it's boring. Yeah, the P-switches are fun, but there's no reason to do them. There's no incentive. Whoopity-doo, you get a damn sticker. Most people are not going to care about that. Yeah, it's going to extend the life of the game, but you need to understand that it's important to extend the life of the game, but you need quality content. That is nothing but quantity at that point. Those P-switches and the Peach coins aren't really that fun to do. No one's really going to care about that. Well, some people are, but a lot of people, they're not. That's something that we like to call in the gaming industry as level padding. It's just added there to make the game seem bigger, but it's not quality content.
And that's the really interesting thing about this, because I imagine the mindset among most people is that like, oh man, there's only like once you do all the Grand Prix cups, like there's nothing else to do, and that's just
There is something to do, but like I said, it's not like really extremely fun stuff. There's no incentive to do it. It gets old after a few. And at worst, you have no idea, unless you look online, if you've done all the P-Switch missions because it doesn't have off a checklist like it should.
simply isn't the case at all. Like the game has a lot of things to do.
Can you please explain, Harmon? Please explain.
A lot. You'll be putting like dozens of hours into this thing. So
Congratulations, there are many games you could put dozens of hours into. Doesn't mean it should be at an $8 price tag.
what exactly are the Pretenders doing to downplay this specific release? You know,
It's not downplaying, it's healthy criticism, something you don't understand.
like one of the big things, the price point. You know, a lot of them are spurging out about the $80 price point. Never mind the fact that like games are getting more expensive in general.
And they're also making record profits. Even though the games are getting more expensive, they're still making record profits at the $60 mark. So how come they need to go up to $80? They're still going to make record profits, Harmon.
They're gonna sit there and act as if people aren't going to pay $80 for Mario Kart.
Some people will, yes, including you. You literally did do it. You got the digital version, if I remember correctly. You spent $80 on that game, even though you shouldn't, because now you're ruining it for other gamers.
When, you know, the same people were already bending over backwards for Grand Theft Auto 6. You know, the mindset being that Grand Theft Auto 6 was a more sophisticated game than like anything else in the industry.
Well, technically it was, but you know what? We're not going to sit there and accept those price points either. If they come out at 80 or higher, we're going to push back too. A bunch of us on here will push back. We know you won't. Well, you actually will push back, but then you'll make an excuse why it's okay for Nintendo to do it.
The same is true for Mario Kart. Like that's simply the reality that most people aren't willing to admit is that the Mario Kart brand, not just the Mario IP as a whole, but specifically the Mario Kart brand, is bigger and better than Grand Theft Auto.
How long has the Mario Kart brand or Mario Kart IP in general been around? And they've had way many more games, okay? I think out of altogether, what, for Grand Theft Auto and all its spin-offs, maybe 10 games, I think at the most, and they have sold the amount they have. How many games have you guys sold individually, Harmon? How much does that make?
It has more replay value. There are more things to do. There's like an endless amount of racing to be done in Mario Kart World.
There's replay value in Grand Theft Auto 5. It's literally an evergreen title. People are still playing it to this day.
You know, you will be playing Mario Kart forever. You know, I've been playing Super Mario Kart.
And you will be playing Grand Theft Auto 6 most likely forever, especially if they do an online thing for it like they did for Grand Theft Auto 5.
For a long time.
Are you used to doing long motions like that with your hand with a special certain someone?
You know, a 30-year-old game, actually over 30 years old, and, you know, never even bought Grand Theft Auto 5. You know, that is, I think, a very good
That's because it's not on Nintendo. That's the only reason why.
example, just one example of just how this typically plays out.
Just because you've been playing Mario Kart World or Mario Kart for over 20-something years and you've never played Grand Theft Auto 5, that's not a very good example, Harmon. Your opinion doesn't mean a whole lot.
Is that people cope about Mario Kart. They seethe about Mario Kart.
The only one that's coping and seething is you.
They hate Mario Kart because it's a Nintendo product on a Nintendo console. And
Most people who are criticizing this game do not hate Mario Kart World, do not hate Nintendo. What a lot of us hate is what it stands for. It stands for a greedy corporation right now, like Nintendo, overpricing it at $80. That is what we're hating.
they complain about Mario Kart, and then at the end of the day, Mario Kart becomes the biggest thing on the platform. Mario Kart
Okay, and when you bundle stuff together, it does tend to sell pretty well.
becomes a huge success. It becomes kind of a symbol of just the inevitability of the failure of Grand Theft Auto and the failure of the mass, the Nintendo hate community, you know?
Harmon, how is this a failure? Grand Theft Auto 5 has outsold Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and most likely Mario Kart World combined after it is done with its life. That's how much Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to sell. Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to sell quite a bit. Unfortunately, I actually do want Grand Theft Auto 6 to fail if they bring it out at $80 or higher. If they sit there and do that, I will love for it to fail, but I know it's not going to.
It becomes like a shining star, an example of just how successful Nintendo consoles actually are.
Harmon, I do not think that this game specifically is going to make this console sell and become very successful towards the end of its life, like with the Switch 1. If you sit there and look at it, it's not like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe didn't even sell half as many units. Go look at the Wii to the Wii Sports. They sold at over half of what the Wii sold. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did not. So with the Switch 1 being so successful, there were many games that caused it to sell as much as it did.
People don't realize that like Mario Kart Wii sold like 100 million units.
No, it didn't. Mario Kart Wii only sold 37 million units. Why don't you use this thing called Google?
Huge numbers. Outsold Grand Theft Auto 4. Was this like huge like cultural thing? Like,
okay, yeah, it sold more than Grand Theft Auto 4. Grand Theft Auto 4 sold 28 million units. Okay, so it sold a little bit more. Mario Kart Wii only sold 37 million units, not over 100 million like you're trying to claim.
This huge symbol of just how much of how popular Mario Kart actually is. And it's something that like basically everybody in the community just kind of wrote off and ignored.
Harmon, if that game sold as many as you claim it did, or half as many as you claim it does, nobody would be writing it off, okay? It wasn't written off. It was given a spotlight, and then people moved on.
It's something that people don't talk about. They don't want to address it. They don't want to face the facts. Mario Kart is a huge, huge deal.
Well, no shit, Harmon. Everybody knows that. You want to know why? Because they made so many. They wouldn't keep making them if they weren't successful.
The most popular racing game in the world. And it has been for decades.
Okay, congratulations. You want to know why? Because it's a multiplayer game that families can play together. That's why it has become so successful.
And it's simply something that the general gaming community can't bring themselves to face, because this idea that this series outperforms Grand Theft Auto and Gran Turismo and just...
It does outperform Gran Turismo, but it does not outperform Grand Theft Auto. Yes, if you combine every single one of them, maybe it does. I take it back. It has not outsold Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto 5 has sold over 215 million copies worldwide. You add up every single Mario Kart game, combine all the sales, and it still doesn't even meet what one game of Grand Theft Auto 5 has sold.
Like every Nintendo console, this is simply a taste of what's to come. Mario Kart Wii...
Harmon, you are not helping Nintendo's cause right now. They're already ripping people off with Mario Kart World, and you're sitting there saying this is only a taste to come. Do you realize you are pushing it out there that Nintendo's going to continue to rip everybody off, which everybody already knew, but you don't need to make it worse for them?
Mario Kart 8 has become a huge hit. A really shining example of just how successful the Wii U actually was.
Harmon, that game does not show how successful the Wii U was. The Wii U was not successful. Nintendo had to report it onto the Switch to make it successful. Now, it did sell quite a bit on the Wii U, but nothing compared to what it sold on the Switch.
Just how many Wii U games have become some of the most successful games over the past decade.
That doesn't mean the Wii U is successful. That's not how that works, Harmon. If you take a game that didn't sell that well at one console, report it to another console, then it sells extremely well. That doesn't mean that the previous console did well or that's a success. That's not how that works.
Mario Kart 8 is a shining example of just how much better the Wii U was than its competition.
Harmon, I swear, you are the reason why that they had to put Caution Hot on cups now.
And Mario Kart World will do the same thing for the Switch too. So again, it's essential for the Pretendo community.
Yes, because it's going to sell a lot on the Switch too if the Switch 2 becomes as very successful as the Switch 1 is.
To downplay, well, not really the Pretendo community, the Nintendo hate community, to downplay this specific release, because this is
not downplaying. It's called healthy criticism. Learn the difference.
A really successful gaming IP that will bring in people to buy the console. And that's the big thing that like
Yes, it may, but guess what? That bundle is supposed to go bye-bye during the fall. Now they're most likely going to bring the bundle back, but that bundle is going to go bye-bye. Once they sell it at only $80, that is not going to help this console sell.
I was like laughing at looking at this like at this hype period, at this like damage control period, because like I saw a lot of people like trying to tell you that like Mario Kart isn't popular and that no one cares about it, no one will buy a console for Mario Kart. That
Where did you see this, Harmon? You definitely didn't really see that on YouTube. Okay, but unless you're talking about one person, I have never heard that on YouTube. I have never heard that on any social media, so you must be going on 4chan or Reddit or something.
is and always has been a cope and a seat. You know, it's just
Again, you're the only one that's coping and seething.
plain wrong. And I don't really see a lot of people really calling these people out on
Probably because there's not many people that are actually saying all this like you're claiming.
very clear to Nintendo fans that Mario Kart is absolutely the cream of the crop when it comes to like hard sales number.
Yes, Harmon, everybody knows that it's going to sell. There's no need to be like this. Well, that's it for my reaction. Let me know down in the comments if you agree with me or not. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay vigilant.
For the consumers lost in the shadow's grip, I rise with the fury on the sinking ship.